I'm Dave.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Corey, and this is our point of view.
All right, let's start off with minimum wage. Okay, it's currently $7.25. Should we raise it to 15?
I'm for it.
Yeah.
Why?
The way I feel, if you raise minimum wage, what we're getting paid now, it makes it more competitive. They would have to raise that to actually bring you in. So, I'm for raising minimum wage.
Okay.
Well, the cost of living has increased incrementally for how many years? What is the cost of living now?
I don't know what it is.
You have to be able to live off of what you make.
Yeah.
And if you want people not to be on so many social programs, then you need to give them more
Yeah,
money.
that's almost like a contradictory argument, isn't it? That we don't want so many people on government assistance, but we don't want to pay them a living wage.
Right.
But if you don't pay them a living wage, you have
But
more
then
people on
public
government
assistance.
assistance.
Right. Absolutely.
That makes no rational sense. But the minimum wage, which was introduced in 1939 by FDR, was for the minimum standard of living. And somehow it got twisted to be a starter job. And that's not why it was implemented to start with. And from 1939 until currently, it has only been raised 29 times.
And that's ridiculous.
It is.
So if you looked at it, if you raised it annually since then, if you did that, you would have stopped raising wages in 1968. So how can there even be an argument that you shouldn't raise minimum wage because it's going to drive up the cost of this when there's no proof to that? That's just hyperbole because it's never happened.
Right.
So so it's just a belief.
And the craziness of the belief that's just a starter job. With so many businesses going overseas and people losing their jobs, they're doing those starter jobs. You're talking about the average age of somebody
28.
working in a fast food is 28. 28. That's with a family, and they're making $7.25 an hour.
That is hard.
So how can anybody? How do you think people fall for that argument that if you raise it from 7.25 to 15, that you'll hurt the economy? What are they talking about? What is it that they believe?
I think they've been brainwashed. That's basically what it is. I mean, how can somebody that makes maybe 3 times as much as you do, and they tell you it's a bad thing for your wage to be increased? They've been brainwashed.
Well, I think the people themselves have been brainwashed, yes.
Right.
Not the people who are making the money, they're
Right.
the smart ones.
Right.
The businesses don't want it raised
Right.
because they don't want it to affect their profit margin.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, where's that little voice, your subconscious in the back of your head that tells you, like when you pick up on somebody that's lying or doing something devious, something usually in the back of your mind when you see that person, I'm kind of leery of this person. Where's that when somebody's convincing you that the minimum wage doesn't need to be raised? Where's that voice in the back of their head saying, well, I don't know that this could be true. This doesn't really make sense.
I have no idea.
I really don't think that people are so much saying they don't, because even a lot of people are saying, well, they can't raise the minimum wage because then, they'll start laying off people. I think that they're scared. That's the reason
But
why they don't want the
outcome
minimum
would make
wage.
it.
But is that
Because
what businesses are telling them? Is that where the fear is driven from businesses
where
telling
businesses, telling them you're going to lose your job. If we have to raise this, then we can only have 2 people doing this job,
Right.
and we'll have to stick with the ones that have been there the longest. So
So it's a bit of brainwashing and fear.
it's a bully tactic, I think.
It definitely is a bull.
And it's working.
Yeah.
And the last time it was raised was 2009.
That is crazy.
So now has the cost of living gone up since 2009?
Yes.
Yes. The average median cost for rent in 2009 was $964. The current average median rent is $1,492. Minimum wage is currently still $7.25 an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how does that translate? How do you think those people making $7.25 probably barely get by if they did at all, paying $9.69 in 2009 and paying $1,492 now. So you're on, what was that, $500 more dollars? You get your wage is exactly the same.
Well,
How do they even think that's sustainable?
Well, like I said, that's where you get your big influx in social programs. People are having to apply. These are people that are working, that are applying for food stamps and Medicaid.
Underemployed.
Yeah.
You employed, but
yeah.
you underemployed.
Or working class poor.
Right.
So, but if it's so noticeable, and you can pick it up, and you can pick it up, and I notice it, how can anybody be convinced otherwise?
They're scared. They're scared of losing their job. They're scared of making waves.
So you're saying something might not even actually believe it; they're just fearful of it.
They're scared that they're going to lose. Yeah, you know, you keep your head down and you keep on working. You don't want to lose your job.
No ripples in the water.
Well, you think that's what a lot of it is?
I think that's what a lot is. And that and greed. These greedy companies do not want to let go of anything. How can you pay a CEO millions and millions of dollars a year to sit on his butt and do nothing, and the workforces of your company are making pennies?
And isn't it strange how like the people that argue the point that you shouldn't raise it because it's going to hurt the economy, but they won't, like a CEO who makes $12 million a year, they won't look at him and say, well, maybe he's making too much, and it's not the raising the wages of the employees that's the problem. It's what you're paying your CEO is the problem, and your shareholders.
I don't know. I think more or less they might look at it like, well, they're the breadwinners. They're bringing this opportunity, so I shouldn't bite the hand that feeds me. They should make that kind of money. You know, that's the mentality they gotta have. That's what I'm thinking.
So they're more acceptable of their position in life.
Right,
They don't think that they deserve better.
They probably do, but
So
they might not know how to
convince
go
them that
about
they
getting
don't?
better. I have no idea, Dave.
It's really hard when you work in a state like we do, that's a right to work state,
Right.
to convince people that you should make waves, because if you make waves, then you lose your job.
Right.
Absolutely.
And they need their job. They need
Right.
that little bit of money that they have.
Right.
So they need to keep them fearful.
Right.
That's
Anything
the way
beat
it
a zero.
works.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You put up when you're in that state, you put up with damn near anything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whether it's right or wrong. So
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I can understand that. Okay, how about profit over progress? Okay, I was reading an article about a manufacturer making mini brains to do studies on Alzheimer's and things like that. And and the technology in that is astounding, that you can make an actual mini brain that's functioning. And I also read an article about NASA having their computers that they used during the moon landing compared to the computers of a video game system, which is twice as many gigabytes as the NASA system. So if you've come from that far along in technology, why are cars basically pretty much the same where they've been since then? Say since 1945, 1950, they were getting
Right.
10, 12 miles per gallon, and now you've got cars that get 30. So you've managed to only come up with 18, 20 miles per gallon more than what you had in 1947.
right.
Because it serves its purpose.
What's its purpose?
Its purpose is to make money. Big oil corporations are making money hand over fist. If you make cars that don't require as much of their product, then they lose money. And they have lots of lobbyists up on the Hill, and they get what they want.
So they simply hold back progress because they want to continue the profit.
Mm-hmm.
But like with oil, it's a finite resource. Eventually you run out of it.
Right.
So why wouldn't you be interested in doing more renewable, better mileage? How would that not be beneficial to a
Because you're going to
company?
ride that wave until it's over, and then you're going to go on to something
And then figure
else.
out from there. Corey?
Absolutely, I agree with her. My thoughts exactly.
And I also read an article about like the Tesla tower. And I was thinking about this. It was wireless electricity that was created 119 years ago. And I think the reason that his backers stopped backing him and just stopped supporting it altogether is probably at the time they couldn't find a way to harness wireless electricity. How do you harness that? How do you get people to pay for that? If it's something that's just giving out electricity to the community, how do you get your hands on it
Right.
without the technology of the guy who built it?
It's not profitable.
Again, right, like she
It's
said.
not profitable.
That they couldn't find a way to get their hands on it, so they just crushed it.
Mhm.
And that makes you wonder how many things in history have they crushed simply because they were fearing that it would hurt their profits. That makes you question every
Right.
technological advance or no technological advance at all.
Right, I fully agree. Like, as far as an example, I'm a gambler. As far as the North Carolina lottery, until they figured out how they could tax it, they wasn't interested in it. So whenever when you're able to harness that money, you know what I'm saying? That's the bulk of it. Money drives everything. So
So that's what crushed it. That's what
right.
Corruption. Yeah.
crushed it.
Yeah. Greed. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was interesting. This has been Dave.
I'm Corey,
I'm Laura.
and this is our point of view.
That's it. I like to say it.